No whiskey.
No whiskey. No. I can't have any more whiskey.
Something's wrong somewhere in the world.
Welcome to the Audacious Dutchman.
Hey! Welcome to episode 15 of The Audacious Dutchman. This one's a pretty cool one. So Mum and Dad have actually flown in from Queensland. Don't tell the same joke as last time. It polled poorly. What was your joke last time? How was your flight?
I'm not going to say. It did go across my mind, and I let it go.
Do you remember his joke?
I didn't watch.
How was your flight? You go, my arms are sore.
Oh, gee.
I know, right? How terrible's that?
I wish you'd stop telling these bad dad jokes, but...
Mama P, did you sign the desk?
I signed the desk.
You signed the desk. So I don't know if I've brought this up yet, but everyone who comes on signs the desk. So there you go. That's exciting.
Done.
So the reason I wanted to have you guys on today is because I had Xanthia on 2 weeks ago now, and she talked about her experience in a cult. And I touched very briefly on your experience of being in a cult. And I thought it would be really cool to get you guys on, get you guys talking about what happened, your account of it, and talk about the books as well.
Yep.
So, I guess the first question is to set the scene. What year did this? What year did it all kick off? Not sure.
I can't remember.
Yeah, that's okay. I reckon I was
we-
about 15 or 16.
So we got out in September of 2016. So it would have been
Was it
3 years before that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
would have started off. Yeah.
And how did you not work it out? You know what I mean?
Well, we did work it out, and that's why we got out.
But how long were you in for?
2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years.
But it scales up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked it out straight away.
Did you?
I was not cool.
Yeah, right.
No, I was cool with the business.
Yep.
I was not cool with all the extra stuff that was going on.
What sort of extra stuff?
So what happened is your dad and a group of businessmen started like a co-op.
A business?
thing.
Yep.
Yeah, started a business. They wanted to go into real estate development, and we all put some money in each, and they bought a project. The project was going along just great, and started making money. We were all very happy about that.
For sure. It was life-changing. I remember it. It was life-changing.
Yeah, I still don't have a mortgage because of it.
Yeah.
We did all right. But one of the guys who, because these were all Christian men, so good Christian men had, I think all of them grew up Christians. They had very strong faith. And one of them brought in a mate who called himself a prophet. And he started calling himself the apostle.
Well, really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and the minute...
That's sensational.
There's always a prophet and an apostle.
And when I heard that, I think I actually laughed out loud, like, who does this guy think he is, calling himself an apostle? Because, there was 12, and they were from 2,000 years ago, and that's it. This apostle business in churches today is rubbish. It's not biblical. So, and really, a prophet has to be 100% correct all of the time.
What's the significance of apostles?
Well, they were men picked by Jesus. They knew Jesus personally. That's not happening today. These guys have never met Jesus.
Sure.
You had to, and they were the ones that went out and spread the message of Jesus' life.
And they started churches.
Yes, yeah.
They're church planters. The original church planters.
And they wrote the New Testament. Not all of them,
Sure.
but...
Yep. So when he called himself an apostle, he was claiming that he knows Jesus directly, starts churches,
They don't think that you have to do that anymore. You can just...
Okay, so he wasn't disillusioned into thinking he was reincarnated or something like that.
But they believe that they're told they're apostles.
Okay.
Any moron can just decide that they're an apostle.
There's a theory that there's a fivefold ministry: apostle, prophet, teacher, pastor, and evangelist.
Mm-hmm.
And so the extension, and it talks about that in Romans, I think, one of Paul's letters. The extension of that is that people think that those ministries must be present in every church, and therefore people in the church must have those gifts and anointings, and so they look around the church and they say, well, who has a similar gift to these things? And then they sort of, so well, you
Label
must
you.
be the prophet, and you must be the apostle, and you must be the evangelist.
Yeah.
So then you suddenly get a title, and that's when pride creeps in.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
And you're more spiritual than everybody else, and everybody aspires to
you
be
buy into the bullshit.
you.
yeah, and it comes with an implied authority. Oh, well, you're the apostle, so
You're in charge.
if you think that must be God talking to you, and therefore how am I going to argue with that?
But we got off track.
Yeah.
So
We sort of
he,
have.
he bought.
That's
he-
going to happen.
That's the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Okay, but he brought in his mate who was a prophet, and so this guy's prophesying over everybody. And
Yeah.
At the beginning, we didn't really see
Can you pass me the water?
any of that
Sorry. Yep.
because the wives were kept out of a lot of it. We didn't really know what was happening,
Mm-hmm.
and that was on purpose that they kept the wives out of it. Well done, Dale.
Slick. It's a slick operation here.
So he
Sorry.
starts controlling these two together.
So they were keeping the wives out of the operation. And was that, why do you think that was?
They say because we weren't safe. I think it's because maybe not all women, but women tend to get stuff a little bit faster. Maybe be more. For me, I'm a very suspicious person. I don't trust anybody. Do I?
No.
30 years, I'm still
No.
not sure about him. And the first time I heard about this prophet guy, Jason had told me about it, and he said the kids wanted you two to go see him, the boys. And I said, over my dead body, is that man getting near my children? I'd never met him, and I just had a deep sense that this was wrong, that this guy was off. And then next thing I know, he's involved in the business. And he starts getting a wage.
That's creepy, isn't it?
And he's earning pretty good money. People are throwing money at him, paying off his debts because he was in a lot of debt. We didn't, as a family, we never gave him any extra money because I wasn't giving him money. He can get his
Did
own.
you want to?
I felt the pressure of not being part of the group by not doing it, but I didn't particularly want to. No.
But half the
Did they want to? The group?
Well, it seemed that they did.
Okay.
people were giving him money. So it started out that 30% of all the profits from the project were going into a foundation to do God's work.
Sure.
And then the prophet came and prophesied, and I wasn't there. Everyone had gone away on a retreat, and the wives were invited to this retreat as well. And you were doing year 12, and I said, I'm not going. My kid needs me at home. He's doing, it was like 2 weeks before your exams or something, and I was quite worried that if I wasn't there, you would not study.
Not turn up.
No, you wouldn't study. You didn't anyway.
Well, I didn't study
Any
anyway.
difference at all?
No, but I needed to be there, and it was a huge fight between us because I wasn't going. There's no way I'm leaving my kid. That's my important thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And while I was away, while he was away and I wasn't there, the prophet prophesied, because he was there, that it had to be 50% of the profits went to this foundation. And that's where he got his wages. That's where the apostle got his wages.
That's crazy.
Um,
And this was his idea, obviously. Well, sorry, it was God's idea, but
God told him.
sure.
God told him.
But it was his idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you reckon he actually believed that he was hearing from God? Or do you think you know what I mean? Or was he up to something and he was just...
We disagree on this.
I don't know.
I think he believed his own bullshit.
So he was hearing voices in his head, assuming it was God and opening his mouth and saying it to you guys?
Yes.
Or do you think he was going, fuck, I'd love a new car?
No. I reckon he believed it 100%.
So if his intentions were good at the beginning, I think along the way he started really loving this lifestyle and he loved the lifestyle, right? Oh yeah.
What was the lifestyle like?
Well, you're hanging around with rich guys. No, I'm not saying we're rich, but some of the other guys were quite wealthy and going on their yacht
Sure.
and going on these paid holidays, and then the foundation were paying for them to go to conferences overseas. None of us went. It was just the prophet and the apostle, and they went. And so he starts living this lifestyle.
Did you just have the same thought as me?
What?
No,
Just
I
two
have
men
now.
going overseas together. Like, I thought it, and you just made a face to me, and I was like,
I'm not
oh.
saying anything about
No,
that.
no,
That's
no.
got nothing.
I don't think that.
No.
Just once. Anyway.
Anyway, so where was I? So he's living this lifestyle, and I think it got, he wanted more. Always wanted more. God told me. And anyway, in the meantime, I'm freaking out. I know this is no good, and Jason's just, hook, line, and sinker. Sucked in. And it caused huge amounts of marital
Do you know it was funny?
drama.
It's not funny at all, but it's interesting that I was really, really concerned about getting deceived. So I was asking questions, I was talking to my pastor, I was talking to other people. I didn't want to be deceived, and I became really anxious about being deceived.
Okay.
And then at some point I just went, you know what, God, I'm sick of being anxious about this. I'm just going to trust you. And I'm just going to let that go. And the problem is, it was when I did that I actually really got deceived.
Yeah, right. That's so interesting.
Every time you put that down.
I actually
it bangs
don't.
the
I don't think the banging on the table is as bad as it sounds in our headphones. Because when I listen to it in the podcast, it's not that bad. It's a little bit bad, but it's not that bad. So don't stress too hard about whacking into stuff. Don't worry. Just enjoy.
So we were not good.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to talk about names or anything, but I know that other marriages were not good either.
Yeah. Okay.
Women did not like this guy, this prophet guy.
Were there any chicks that were like, oh, you know what? I reckon he's all right. Beck,
they
you need
started
to
to
come
come
around.
around.
Yeah,
one.
there was a lot of
Oh,
pressure
okay.
to come around, like to accept him, and
Submit to his
yes,
authority.
submit
Hang
to his
on.
authority.
Submit.
Yeah. Now,
You don't play nice with that sort of bullshit.
no,
Not a chance. No.
I understand where the Bible says that a wife should submit to their husband.
Yeah.
And that's not a bullying relationship, but somebody has to be in charge. Now, that's a big responsibility for a man because it all lands on their shoulders, and I don't even want that responsibility.
With great power.
But
Comes
there's
great
no
responsibility.
way I am submitting to some other bloke who I didn't choose to be my husband, I don't like, I think is dangerous and wicked. I'm not going to submit to him. And here comes the problem because I'm like, no way. I'm not submitting to him. Get out of my marriage, get out of my life. I didn't invite him in. He was put there, the other guys invited him in, but that doesn't mean he's in charge of me. He's not in charge of me. So I think I was a bit of a problem for them because I wasn't obedient, not to them. But it was really causing me, because I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm worried about what this is doing to my soul because I don't think that
For
what's
sure,
going on
yeah.
is Christian. I don't think none of this is biblical, and I can't keep living like this. And so it just got really messy.
You know what's crazy?
What?
You're his arch nemesis. You fucked the whole thing up for him.
I'm sure I've got.
Seriously,
I'm
because
sure I've got more than one.
yeah, you were the first one out.
Yeah. No.
No, actually the second.
But
I
somebody
know who
left-
was out.
Somebody
first
else
one-
left a long time
GB.
ago.
He-
No.
No.
Who? Oh no, someone else left. Yeah, I
Yes.
remember that.
He
So
left
he-
ages earlier.
He left as soon as the prophet
Yep.
came on the scene. He said, "Oh, I've seen how these things go. I'm
I'm
out
outta here."
He also grew up in a cult.
So he recognised it
knew.
immediately.
Yeah, and he said, "No, it's not my thing. I'm out of here." But he didn't.
So he didn't pull his money out or anything. He just
He just
said, "Do you send me my profits? Not the profits,
Yeah.
but my money."
Yeah,
And
I don't want any more. Give me my profit share, but I'm not drawing a wage. I'm not in this.
Well,
I'm just
he
an
wasn't,
investor.
Yeah.
I'm out.
until I told him that I was getting out, and he said, "Well, you need to get mine out as well." So we both got out at the same time.
Financially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it came to the point where your dad and I had decided we were going to go on a holiday. We wanted, we needed a holiday, and
Fiji.
Yeah, Fiji. I saw it on postcards, and I said, I want to go to that place.
Well, the backstory is
I don't ever want to go
Rebecca
to Fiji.
said, has always said, I never want to go to Fiji because they have
Dogs.
cockroaches.
Oh.
And they.
I don't know how she'd ever
My
heard. Somebody
Did you know they
sometimes
have
said-
cockroaches
my
everywhere?
sister stayed
Everywhere.
in a hotel, And she said
In
in
Fiji.
Fiji, and
Right.
she walked in, and she said there were cockroaches everywhere. So they
Sure.
sprayed them, and more, like multiplied them. And because I have a real phobia about cockroaches, you don't even need to know that story. Why? I said I'm never going to Fiji, but we saw this place it was a postcard special on a Friday night, and I looked over at your dad and I said I want to go there, and he's gone. Okay, we can finally go to Fiji, and now this was heaven on earth. This place.
But wait, let's pray about it.
Yeah.
Let's ask God if He thinks it's a good idea.
Because
for us to go.
nobody
Because-
was allowed to do anything without praying about it.
Had to pray about it.
But not like, hey God, it was.
Do you have
over
to
the
pray
top.
with them?
Well, that's the thing. No, you didn't. That wasn't necessarily the thing. But if they prayed about it and they got a different answer than what you got, then the question was a bit of a tip the head sideways, and it's like, are you sure you're asking the right question? Are you sure you haven't heard through a filter? Do you want to ask again? And then inevitably you ask the question again of God, and then suddenly you hear a different answer. Oh, maybe I'm not supposed to go.
Uh-huh.
One
Crazy.
might call that manipulation. Spiritual
Brainwashing.
abuse, stuff like that.
So, because Dad was worried because there had been a spate. It was a spate
It was a
of
spate.
them telling people they couldn't go on holiday.
I do like a spade.
So people had booked. I know of one girl who booked flights, and she cancelled them because the prophet told her that she shouldn't be going on this holiday.
And lost her deposit.
Yeah, lost money. So she didn't go away on her long planned. I assume it's a long planned holiday. She wasn't rich because the prophet said no.
Why didn't they want you going on holidays?
I personally, well, one, they're controlling you, and two, I think they didn't want the husbands and wives going away together.
You're out from under their
Yeah.
influence.
They,
Both
was
physical and spiritual
Yep.
influence. When you lose that
um,
proximity, then yeah.
And just a few weeks before this, because then we had to start going to these Thursday night meetings that went till like midnight.
Gatherings.
Gatherings, yes, the gatherings. Which were just, oh my gosh, they were so boring. Anyway.
You just weren't spiritual enough to enjoy it.
I'm
to
not
appreciate
spiritual,
it.
I know. Shocking. Oh, and they announced that they were opening their own church. Because they had been at another church, and they did a lot of damage in that church. And I didn't realise till we were out, how many people were damaged spiritually, emotionally by these men. What they were doing, because we didn't go to that church. We went to a different one. We did end up going to that church. We probably only went for like 2 months.
Yeah.
And then we got out.
Yep.
And I said, well, I'm not going to that church because I don't want to see those men every week. But they had decided they were opening their own church, and it was going to be exclusive. It was an invite-only church.
Sensational.
We love that.
Those are the best sort.
That is not in the Bible at all. And at that point, I'm like, you can't be serious. Are you kidding me? Invite-only church? Only for exclusive people? Who do these people think they are?
Were you out at this point, or
No,
were you still in?
no. So we were still
Still
in.
in.
So then a couple of weeks later, the holiday thing happened. So all the men were going. This was just a men's only retreat, and so your dad goes off. We decided we're going to Fiji, and before he went. He started going, "Oh, I don't know if it's going to happen." And I'm like, "We've rang the real estate agent." No,
Travel
the
agent.
travel agent. I say that every time. We've rang the travel agent. We're booking it. What do you mean it's not going to happen? We've picked a date.
It's
we're
done.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dad goes away, tells the guys what's happening, and what did they do?
I told the apostle, this is what we're doing, and he's like, you sure that's really what God wants? And so I kept praying and asking, and I kept hearing yeses, and he kept asking the question. So we then took it to the group. Said, let's pray with all of our brothers and see what all the brothers are
All
hearing.
of our brothers.
Oh, yeah.
So we were brothers. And so we all prayed. And then all the other guys heard things like, not yet, God's got something better, timing's not right. One other one heard, yeah, do whatever you want.
Yeah. Who cares? It's no big deal. It's not a sin to go on a
It was
holiday.
bang on. But
Yeah.
so here's where it gets really interesting. So as a result of all of that questioning and that doubt, I went, okay,
And
maybe I shouldn't go. Maybe we shouldn't go.
And he rang the travel agent without speaking to me and cancelled.
Whoops. And this is while you were in, is it Malawi?
Flowerdale. We were in Flowerdale at the retreat.
Hmm.
4 days. So this was day 1 of the 4 days. So I rang Rebecca up and said, prayed with the guys. They're hearing God say that it's not a good idea. We must be hearing wrong. So I don't think we should go. Something like that. And her response was basically,
Don't come home.
Come
I'm
on.
done. I'm done with you. I'm
it
done.
was verbatim. Yep.
Yeah, right.
So
So he's ringing
That
me
was good.
constantly, and I refuse to pick up the phone. And I remember you yelling and telling him off,
I remember I called you and I said, you should probably come home now.
and he didn't.
You should probably just
Yeah.
leave and come. No, you came home early.
No, he didn't.
no, I didn't.
He
Oh,
didn't.
okay.
No. Oh, no. You stayed. You weren't allowed to go home. And they're telling him,
I
don't
wouldn't
worry.
have helped.
It-
It was better that I
It was
stayed.
actually important that he stayed because it got worse. And
It got worse, that retreat.
Mm.
oh yeah, much worse.
So it was that event that started me down the path of going, I can make a decision to get out. So I mean, I've always been questioning, but kept landing on the side of no, these guys must be on the level. They must be hearing God. This must be the right thing. And so after I'd told Rebecca about that, and she cracked it, and I went, now I've broken her heart. She was dead set on this. Now I've taken that away from her. And the messaging was, no, God's going to do something. He's going to have some breakthrough in her life.
She's going to
because
get freedom.
She's going
so
to get
much
freedom from something. There's obviously something in her life that's causing her to feel this way, and this thing is going to reveal, this event is going to reveal that thing, and we're going to get it out, and it's going to be great. She's going to get all this freedom. And part of me is like, all right, let's see it. Let's see that happen. And the other part of me is like, no, I don't think that's going to happen because I know her pretty well, and I don't think that's going to work like that. But I do remember thinking, God, I don't understand if this is your way. Why do you have to break her heart in order to achieve this? Why is this your process? This doesn't make any sense to me. And I prayed and I said, I'm going to give to the end of the week. And if I get home and I walk in the door and Rebecca opens the door and says, darling, I'm so glad you're home. I can't believe what's happened this week. I've seen the light. I understand where I've gone wrong, and
Were
I've
you guys
got
doing fucking psychedelics at this
all
retreat?
this freedom.
Because
Right? If she says that, then I'm all in to this thing. But if she opens the door, well, if she doesn't open the door, if I open the door and she says, what are you doing home? I want a divorce, then I'm out. I'm done. That's it. That's the trigger for me. And so I got home, and
and I
think you
said,
can
what are you doing here?
predict that was the
Yeah.
response. And so I said, I don't think I said I'm out. Oh, maybe I did say I'm out
No,
at that
You
stage.
didn't. No.
I don't remember. It was sometime over the next 12 hours anyway
Yeah.
that all came out. And so in the next 12, 24 hours, we completely debriefed about everything that was going on, and our whole relationship flipped around at that point.
Yeah.
Went from being completely apart
different
to
teams.
completely together,
Yep.
which ironically is what I was praying for.
Yeah. Well, God did something in your life.
That's it.
So,
But-
as a side note, what was happening in the background at this too was these two guys were running all these sessions with people, completely unqualified. Neither of them had even gone to Bible college. No,
I think one of them had.
right. The prophet did not go to Bible
No.
college. He had no qualifications whatsoever, and they're giving personal counselling
Great.
to people, but weird counselling where they'd pray through stuff, and I'm sure half of it was just, I'm seeing this and I'm seeing that, and
You sound a bit cynical, Mum. It's the work of God. What are you talking about?
yeah, I told you I don't trust no
Mm.
one.
So just to explain that, the sessions went like you would talk about something, and then you'd talk about an emotional problem you have, and then they would start asking questions about your past, like, well, when did you first start to feel that? Do you remember how old you were? What was the thing that happened? And so they'd start digging back like that. But they would also get a word of knowledge, so they'd get some sort of sense in their mind of something. So they might say, oh, I'm hearing God say that you were 6 years old and there was something that happened when you were 6, or something along
Sure.
things along those lines, and purportedly God led, which I questioned today, but purportedly God led things, and so people would go, oh, how could you possibly know that unless it was God telling you? And so that did happen to me. I mean, it's the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah.
You can work these things out, but they were able to suck people in that way and then dig into the root cause of something, which was just Freudian
Dangerous as well.
strategies.
Mm-hmm.
And then identify the root cause of a problem, and then say, there you go, now you've identified it.
And now you've got freedom.
Oh,
You'll get
and
all your
replace it. And then ask
Yes.
Jesus what he's doing now. So now ask Jesus to replace that bad memory with a good memory. That's the strategy, which is completely bad. Completely wrong.
So it sounds like they asked a lot pretty consistently. It sounds like they ramped up. So they started at 0. Well, they started at 1, and then they progressively started asking more and more and more
As they
things.
got more control of people's lives.
Yeah, like you
People
say.
weren't allowed to sell. One couple was told they couldn't buy a house they wanted to buy. I mean, it's got nothing. Nobody else should be deciding these things but you.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, they want to take all decision making, centralize the decision making back to the group. So that makes you reliant on them and gives them control.
And it sounds like you got out because they just asked too much.
Yes.
Just pushed
They
a little bit too
pushed
hard.
it too far. Yeah, they couldn't control themselves.
So a couple of weeks before he went on this retreat, the prophet's wife announced that God had told her they were getting an upgrade of their house. And because they had a house, and I never went there, but I assume it wasn't very nice. And God had promised them an upgrade. And I remember thinking at the time, this was in one of these Thursday night sessions, great, I'm not paying for your mortgage. Good luck with that, was my attitude. Back to being cynical, yeah. And Dad, he comes home, and when we're debriefing, and he tells me, we're all supposed to give hundreds of thousands of dollars each to pay for his house because the prophet can't have a mortgage.
Didn't he get a farm?
No.
He had a farm. That's what he
Yeah.
sold.
But I had a mortgage.
Yeah.
I still owed hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they wanted me to just give money to pay his mortgage.
It was, to pay for the purchase of the property,
Yeah.
so there was no mortgage.
No, yeah, because prophets don't need it. He should be debt free.
Debt-free. And so the interesting thing was that all the way through that retreat, the sessions were being led by the apostle, and we were being guided along a path of essentially freeing ourselves of our problem of financial greed. And the best way to free yourself of financial greed is to give
all
away.
your money.
Well, no, we're asking for us to give all your money, but
Yeah, but-
give your money away, and then you release yourself from that financial greed. So they were priming us up to give away, and then this thing about this upgraded house came up towards the end of the week.
It was right at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was right at the end, and it progressed to that, and it all felt. It didn't actually feel that natural, but I could see the progression of it, and I could see. It seemed at the time like these things were naturally progressing, but in hindsight, you could see that that was how they intended the week to go to get to that point. And what really opened my eyes right at the last minute was, right in the last hour in the last session, we'd sort of landed on this. Oh yeah, he should really have a house, and we could contribute to it. I knew that there was no way we were going to contribute to it, but I was pretty sure the others were going to contribute to
If
it.
we were going to get a divorce, we weren't going to have any money anyway.
But the rest of the group had landed on, yeah, we could contribute to that. Yeah, I think that'd be great. And there was a number attached to it. And then as soon as that session was finished, one of the guys had to go, and he was gone straight away. And I was standing around with two of the other guys, and we were just looking at properties on the realestate.com on the phone. And the apostle points to this one and goes, this is the one I saw for him last week that I think is great, and this is the one. And I went, hang on a minute, you saw this last week? We just decided 5 minutes ago that this was a good idea.
It's like
How
when
did you pick this up last week?
It's
So
like
hang on
the
a minute.
person
so
who reported on 9/11 just before it happened.
That's
yeah.
it.
Whoops.
Tower 7's coming down.
So you,
Well,
so
and-
you
Yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
knew this is where this was going to go last week,
Yeah.
at the end of this week, and so therefore this whole week's been manipulating us to get to this point.
That's crazy. That's like when they play bloody charity videos before they take tithe at church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's manipulation.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
terrible.
So I jumped in the car. So I've got this fleece of I'm about to arrive home 2 hours later and see
Sure.
what Rebecca's response is going to be. Plus, I've just had this information, this confirmation objective confirmation that the entire week had been a manipulative exercise. So I'm going home already thinking I'm done anyway. And actually, it was funny that I came to breakfast Friday morning. I reckon Thursday night I'd already decided I was pretty much out anyway. And Friday morning, we all turned up to breakfast. I think I was the last one to come to breakfast. I was a little bit late. And I sat down and had eaten my food, and then somebody came and asked if I wanted any more. And I said, no, I'm done. Thanks. And as I said it, I looked at the prophet, and he looked at me, and I knew as I said the words that I wasn't just talking about my breakfast. And I reckon he knew it as well when I said it.
Oh, wow.
It's like it was weird.
That's so interesting.
Anyway.
So when
there
you
go.
left, how'd you leave? Send him an email? Did you go in?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, it
no,
was
did we
terrible.
communicate it?
You spoke to one guy on the weekend and said, I think I'm pretty much out.
I'm out. And that didn't go well.
No.
And that was
But
a
you
hostile
were
response.
so you were actually working for them. So part
on
of
staff. Yeah, I had to
2
keep
days.
working.
Yeah, because somebody had to run the foundation, and they actually needed some sensible person there to make sure things were running correctly. And that was because your dad's an accountant.
Yep.
He took on that job, which I didn't want him to do because he was getting paid a lot less than if he'd been out working for a client. So that's another thing. They wanted everybody reliant on them for the money. A few of them ended up working there, didn't they?
Yeah.
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 Did they make you
That was the
sell your
dream.
practice, or did you want to sell your practice?
No, I want to sell the practice.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But
Wasn't
I
sure
wasn't.
about that.
I wasn't on board with that at all.
You wanted it.
No, I didn't want him to sell it.
Yeah, you wanted him to keep
But
it.
he's got them at him all the time. You got to sell. You need to sell. You need to sell.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't
Yeah,
think
because
said
they
that.
wanted you working.
Anyway,
They weren't happy about it.
I was happy about selling the practice. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, we went to them and said, look, you guys are going on a journey here. I don't think this journey's for me. It's up to you where you want to go, but I don't think I can go any further up this mountain with you.
That's nice.
I'm going to...
That's a nice
out.
way to start.
Oh,
yeah.
well, we're not mean people.
And what did they say? Did they try and keep you?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
you the
It
big
was
sell,
it was a
did
bit
they?
of a, oh, no, you need to go away and pray. Just take the day off, go away and pray, ask God about it, come back. And so I didn't change my mind. I did that.
Yeah.
And
Did they pay you for the day?
Yeah. it was a
Great.
paid day.
Oh, do whatever you like. Sure, no worries.
Yeah, so it took us a week for them to really understand that we weren't
Changing our minds or
going to
backing
change
down.
our minds, and so I gave them a notice, 4 weeks' notice, and because I was working there, and also and said, look, you can buy me out or I can stay in the project, whatever. I don't mind.
Uh-huh.
And then we went on the trip.
They weren't very.
We went to Fiji.
Yeah.
How
we
was
did.
Fiji?
Oh
Fiji
my
was
gosh,
fantastic.
they weren't very
I enjoyed it too.
complimentary.
Yeah, I've heard about
Yeah,
this.
yeah. They weren't very complimentary about me to your father.
Oh,
While he was that week, were they?
No,
One
there was one comment.
There was one person in particular that was not very keen.
okay.
So, and that's okay. I mean, I'm
Was it the prophet or the apostle, or was it just
no,
one of the other
no,
fellas?
different
One of the
member.
brothers.
Yeah.
One of the brothers.
Anyway, yeah, so we went on the holiday to Fiji,
It was
and
heaven.
Did you guys have robes?
probably
The girls had joked at some point about having to wear long dresses and wait till they start making us wear certain clothes. You know, and they had bought
and drinking
20,
the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, we talked about that, and they had actually bought 20 acres
Cool.
out in the country.
To start a youth camp.
No, we don't
Just a
know.
retreat.
Just a retreat. But we're like, I'm not
prayer
going
retreat.
to. I'm not going to go live on that in a compound. That was not happening.
Did they try and get you kids?
Well, yeah, they had sessions with most of the kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never had any sessions,
I
but
wouldn't-
all the
No.
other kids, like, how? Do you want to talk about that?
I wouldn't let them near you.
Not really. Not really sure you want to go that far.
Well, we weren't there.
Mm,
We don't know.
I guess what's the significance of going after the kids in any cult? Because
You
it's a
keep
thing.
the parents
Keep
in.
the parents in. The kids are
Um,
connected. The parents
yeah.
stay connected.
Well, 13-year-old girls make the purchasing decisions for the household. Did you know that?
Is that right?
13-year-old girls make the purchasing decisions for the household. So if you want to sell insurance,
That's disturbing.
this is a thing. People are like literally running TikTok ads about like insurance to 13-year-old girls. This is real. This is a real thing.
Thankfully, we never had any 13-year-old girls in the house. So
No.
Yeah.
So there was already, because people's parents were really distressed about their kids, even though they're grown adults, being in this, and it was causing trouble in families.
Yeah.
And so they were already doing, cults like to isolate you.
That's what
And
Xanthia said.
yeah, so they isolate and then separate you from your family.
Yeah.
Because then they can have complete control. And if your kids are in and they say to you, if you go,
Keeping the kids.
I'm keeping your kids, and you'll never see them again. You will not see your children. And that happens a lot.
Yep.
So
Yeah, right.
that's why. If you can get the kids in and involved, then they've got more control of you.
That's some scary shit right
It
there,
is.
isn't it?
But I never let them near you.
Fiji was good.
Fiji was so good.
Fiji was really good.
It was really
Healing.
healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrific.
I did some healing too.
Yeah, I understand
Yeah.
that. What did you do?
So
For those of you playing at home.
I knew Mum and Dad were going away a week. I thought it'd be a really good idea to throw a party while they were gone, specifically knowing we weren't really allowed to do that. So we threw a party. The only time everyone could make it was the night before you guys came back, so I had to do it that night. And rather predictably, I woke up and you were coming home at 3 o'clock, and I had a school assembly. We weren't in school anymore. This timeline.
Doesn't really matter. The
Hey,
point
no,
is
it does.
You didn't clean
It
up
does,
properly.
yeah. So, oh no, I
think
got
you-
Jack
I-
drunk. I got Jack drunk, and then took him to school. Well, he wasn't drunk that day, but we were all really, really, really hungover, and basically we had to go and do, because all my mates had to do. We were prefects the year before, which means we were on the school leadership team, and we had to go and talk about why it's important to pay attention at school, and we were all dreadfully hungover. And then basically we came back.
If you look up irony in the dictionary, there's a picture of that.
I know, right? Isn't that hysterical? We came back, and it took me so much effort to clean up what I cleaned up, and
You
it was
did not do a good
it was a
job.
disaster.
I walked in and I'm like, what happened to my house?
Yeah, and there's a pool cue in the garden, and the
There's
best
a chain
bit is,
around the tree, and I'm like, why were the dogs chained up?
yeah, we chained the dogs up because
And
I
that was-
figured
then
that
I
people
knew.
were gonna have all the
Yeah.
gates open.
Then I knew that something had gone
So
right.
it's a good move. Well, I'm not going to lock them in the studio because someone will go in the studio, let them out, the dogs will get out. They cannot be fucked with if they're chained up to a tree, unless someone thinks it's a good idea to let the dogs off, but they wouldn't do that. But yeah, so I denied this for a year.
I know.
A year you
I
tried
know.
to get it out of me.
I knew.
And you got me because you came home after a year and you go, so I ran into Linda Harvey at the bakery and she was saying something about your party. And I went, fuck. And that's how you got it out of me. And then you go, aha, I made that up.
It was
And you
not
got it
true.
out of me a year later. Isn't
Linda
that
Harvey
crazy?
didn't say a word.
We knew.
We're
I
not.
know you knew.
See,
You're not as dumb as you look.
I'm pretty smart.
Yeah. So,
So
there you
Plus,
go.
we had ring cameras. So we
No.
no, he had to say.
We
No.
got those after. On the
No,
next time.
I made sure everyone came around the back.
That's right.
So you had a ring doorbell.
Yeah.
So and I said, do not go out the front. I locked the door, threw away the key, put up a sign at the bottom of the thing saying,
Would have been easier to switch off the Wi-Fi.
yeah, but we needed the Wi-Fi
Right.
for music and stuff.
For the tunes.
So there was that. But then the next time you went away, you'd put cameras up everywhere, specifically because of what happened. But yeah, I think it's important to be 18 and throw a party you're not allowed to have.
Right.
I mean,
It's a rite of passage, is it?
don't listen to this, Henry. Yeah, so that's interesting. What advice would you give to people listening? Because I think everyone thinks they wouldn't fall into a cult. Would
They
you
all
say
do.
that's-
And do you know what? Because I've done so much research into this now, because for writing the book, I've done a lot of research, and it's not that hard. A lot of really smart people
The Collective.
How's that? Product
fall into
placement.
it.
It's pretty good.
They thought they would never get sucked in.
People, the guys that were involved were smart.
Yeah.
They had made money on their own. They weren't stupid people.
Some of them were like super rich.
Mm.
And yeah, they got taken for a ride.
Crazy.
So
I guess even not a cult, but just a situation where you're being manipulated. Yeah, could be a toxic relationship. It could be a workplace where you're not getting paid properly. Like, I almost feel like being in a cult is a spectrum.
Yeah, I think those other two circumstances are slightly different. But being in a cult is more about you have a heart. Your heart wants to do something. Usually wants to do good, and usually wants to do good for God. So you start with that starting point. I'm really appreciative of what God's done for me, so I want to do. I want to give back. I want to do something terrific. And if God's got a call on my life to do this, that's fantastic. And then when you're inside something, you can't see. You have no reference point of how this looks from outside because you're inside. And so the more people from outside tell you you're doing the wrong thing, the more you actually think you're doing the right thing. Because, of course, the response to that is, persecution will come. So if you're doing the right thing, you're going to get persecuted. So as soon as somebody tells you you're doing the wrong thing, you go, that's just persecution. And that's great. That's actually confirming that where I'm is correct.
Yeah.
And so every bit of information coming from outside the bubble just confirms that you should be in the bubble. And not, it doesn't actually help you to get out. So it's really hard to actually tell when you're inside what's wrong with it. And that's why people stay in for so long. So that they get in because they have a desire to do something right, and then somebody targets that particular aspect and then hooks you in, and then when you're in, you can't see it. You just can't. And or you have to admit that you're absolutely wrong about everything. And if you're wrong about that thing, then you're wrong about everything. Your entire belief system collapses, and then most people won't change their minds in the face of their entire belief system collapsing. They'd rather be dogmatic and stick with it and go, no, this must be right, than to just abandon
realise they've
everything.
been a fool and they've been taken advantage of.
Yeah.
So advice I would give people. Inside churches, I'd be very suspicious of people self-proclaim prophets and apostles. The Bible's very clear. If you're not 100%, now in the Old Testament, if you're not 100%, they'll take you out and stone you.
100% accurate.
Accurate, yeah. You've got to be 100%
So if you make a
accurate.
prophecy and your prophecy is not true or is proven wrong or doesn't happen, then
Now,
you should be stoned.
Yeah.
And not the good kind of stoned.
Yeah.
The other kind.
Yeah.
We can't do that now. You get in big trouble. But if somebody's doing prophecy, and they're always so jolly vague, you're like, I don't even know what that means. They come up with these weird prophecies, and you're like, what does that mean?
Yep.
Armchair
prophecies.
I'd be very suspicious, and I don't know if there are prophets today or not. The canon is closed. The Bible is written, and when you are speaking, if you're giving a prophecy, that's God. So then God's still speaking. So I'm not sure. I don't want to say there's never ever going to be another prophet, but lots of churches have got these prophets, and it just is.
Church is scary these days, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
there's a
hard
lot of stuff going on. Now, there is a certain church in America, and I don't need to name them, and they run prophecy school. And their thing is, and I've heard the leader say this, just start saying something. And they won't even let you pass the first year if you haven't been wrong a couple of times. You have to give wrong prophecies to somebody so that you can learn to clean up your mess. That's not God.
Cool.
Very unbiblical, because as you said in Deuteronomy, it says if you
must be 100%.
get it wrong, you're not a prophet.
Yep.
And these self-proclaimed apostles, I mean, there's nothing. Okay, from the time that the 12 apostles died until all through the church history, there have not been apostles. This is just a new thing. This is, and not even 100, maybe 50 years. I'm not sure exactly. When people started deciding that they were apostles. This is brand new.
This fivefold ministry thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All this stuff it's all new. It's not in the Bible. So you need to be, for Christians, you need to be suspicious. I'm not saying run around and call people, be careful.
We were talking about something very interesting the other day, about the correct way to deal with. So I was listening to a podcast, basically, and the guy was talking about you got to be careful of the way you call out your brethren.
Yeah, so Paul talks about that in one of his letters. He says, first of all, go to the brother and express your concerns, and if he doesn't change his ways, then take another brother with you and then have the conversation again. And if he still doesn't change his ways, go to the church, and then if he still doesn't change his ways, then excommunicate him from the church. That's the process outlined in by Paul. And so, yeah, it is a bit of a grey area when it comes to talking about things that are, what's the word I'm looking for? Apostasy. Apostasy just means it's like anti-biblical teaching, but apostasy in the church today, it's hard to sort of warn people about apostasy and try and do that rule at the same time. I think they're different things.
Yep.
But it's sort of kind of walking a fine line.
Yep.
But I think it's better. I'd rather walk that line and sort of be on the other side of it by warning people about apostasy rather than worrying about have I gone through the correct process in calling someone out specifically.
So writing a book was really hard because, I agonised over it for a long time. My first novel I wrote in 3 months.
Yep.
I just sat down and I wrote it. This one took me...
What was your first novel?
Took me years. You Don't Bring Me Flowers Anymore.
Yep.
That was my first novel.
Mm-hmm.
I sat down and I wrote it. The second one that I wrote, The Collective, about these people, about what we went through, took me a couple of years. Because every time I started writing, it would bring it all back, and it was quite emotionally traumatic and triggering, and for your dad too. Because then he's telling me stuff that I didn't even know. He's like, oh, I remember this happening. And I'm like, I didn't know that. So that was really awful. And I didn't want to be outing people. So even though I changed stuff, people that read it were like, oh, we know who this is,
So everything in the book is fiction.
It's made up.
But it's inspired by our experience.
Yep.
So there are no direct correlations between any one person in the book and a person who's real.
Yeah.
Interestingly, people
think
do make their own correlation to characters in the book.
I can't help
and then have a view on whether they think that's fair or unfair. But all of the characters were mixed up. Presentations, mixed up personalities. So there was never one direct correlation. But
and
people draw their own conclusions, and that's fine.
So most people were happy with the book. They read it. I got like messages from complete strangers who told me, this really helped me. I thought I was the only one that was being hurt by this sort of stuff and damaged.
That was the biggest surprise.
That was, all these people I had no idea that had been injured by what was going on because we weren't in that church.
Yeah.
I was accused by one of the wives of trying to get revenge, like that I wrote it to get revenge, and were we friends? We were we were friends.
Yeah.
And that did hurt because I thought, well, if you think that about me, you don't know me at all. Because I agonized whether even to write it, but in the end, it helped people, and it's a good warning because it's a slippery slope. You don't just wake up one day and go, I think I might join a cult. It happens very gradually and slowly, and so cults will do something called love bombing, and they make you feel so loved and so wanted by them before they start asking for all your money and sell your house and do all this stuff. That doesn't happen on day one. So I wanted people to see the progression of how this happens, how it starts real slow.
To be fair, they don't ever actually ask you for money.
Not this lot.
They get you to a point where you offer it.
It's implied.
Well, no, you just want to. You get to a point where you want to contribute to these
Yeah.
things because you believe in the cause so much and you believe that this is how it should happen and believe this is what God wants you to do with your money. God's given you all the money to steward, and if He wants you to manage it like this, then that's the blessing to be able to do it. That's the position
crazy.
you get to. Well, it's not crazy. That is a
No, but that's crazy that
sense of-
that's human nature.
well, yes, and it's crazy that people can manipulate that.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
the hard
sad,
part.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you said before there's a spectrum, and there is. We're talking about a cult, and it was approaching a cult. This thing, it wasn't full blown cult because
Yeah.
there wasn't
There was a time.
residential. There wasn't residential. There wasn't people living together and all that sort of stuff. So it could have got there. I don't know, but I think when it comes to churches, there's a lot of. It's all spiritual abuse, a spectrum of spiritual abuse, and you see a lot of this in churches. Some kind of spiritual abuse, very low on the spectrum or higher. Doesn't necessarily mean they're in a cult, but it's all the same thing. Whether you call it cultish or spiritual abuse, it's still wrong and it's still manipulation, and it shouldn't be happening, and people do need to be aware of it, and then if they're experiencing it, need to actually be confident enough to say, you know what, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. This isn't actually what God wants for me now, and I need to extract myself from this. I need to get out. I think that's important.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And hopefully that's what your book actually helps them to achieve, helps them to see how normal, sensible people can
Yep.
get drawn into these things,
Yep.
can get abused, what spiritual abuse looks like, and that you can get out.
Yep.
You can actually elect not to be in there. And I think that has, like you said, that has helped. I reckon it's in the order of 100 people, I think, at least have benefited from that we just did not expect.
Where can you buy the book?
RebeccaPater.com.au
Yeah.
Or Amazon.
REBECCA
Amazon.
or on Amazon.
double C.
Yeah.
REBECCA
ECCAPATER.com.au.
.au.
That's the website. All 3 books are on there, or you can get them on Amazon.
Yep.
Um,
Something else you should also be aware of is if anyone's claiming authority over you, why do they have who gave them that authority? It's
Is that a thing?
yeah, it's huge. And these
Okay.
apostle things is having authority over your life.
Okay.
It's what? I
Yep.
mean,
Yep.
who do you think you are? And that this is what they're doing, and just damaging lives. People, businesses are destroyed. People lose their home because the prophet told them to do this, whatever it is that they're telling them to do. And then that causes heaps of issues for those people with God, because it's like, how did this be allowed to happen?
Yep.
How did God let this happen? Now for us, sorry, I have to blow my nose.
You're right.
There is a spiritual authority. Rebecca mentioned earlier that the Bible talks about wives submitting to your husbands, and that's an appropriate level of authority. And I think
Not in a weird way.
no, just,
Yeah.
there's roles. There's
Yeah.
appropriate roles, and then there's well, I don't know. We haven't actually explored this bit, but pastors having some authority. If you're in a member of a church, then a pastor has some sort of level of spiritual authority. No, I don't know. See, that maybe that's still just a hangover from all this other
Yeah, I
fivefold
don't
ministry
even
crap.
I don't know that anymore. I've been brought up to believe that, and I'm just not sure that that's true. Yes, they speak into your lives, and if you're the same thing, if they're seeing sin, then yes, they can bring it up and talk to you about it. But I just don't know why they should have authority over you.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure. If I don't know, I'd rather say I'm not sure, because I'm still learning, I'm still growing, even though I'm old now. Yeah, I'd be very suspicious if somebody in churches comes to you and it's going to the pastor and saying, I have authority.
Yep.
Where did you get that authority
Yeah.
from? So we're in a church. We moved to Queensland. We're in a Baptist church. I have never ever heard anybody in that church even use the word authority.
Yep.
We have a wonderful pastor, and he's lovely, and he has a board that he answers to.
Okay.
And he's always attitude is, if you've got a problem, come and speak to me. But there's no manipulation, nothing around money, nothing at all, and it's really lovely to not have that stuff all the time.
I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
Hmm.
Has the experience made you more cynical of other things?
Like government.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Because if you
Was
can,
9/11 an inside job? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. I honestly, and after what's happened in the
Yeah.
last few years, I'm astounded when people still think the government has their best interest at heart.
This is exactly what Xanthia said.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
How dumb are you people? And that sounds harsh, but just take a look at what's happened.
Has your government ever lied to you?
I
Oh,
don't-
yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times?
Mm.
Like, if they've lied once.
Once. When have they ever told the truth?
Yeah.
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 Exactly. Do the press spin things? Of course they do. Every time something's on the news, it's a story being
please.
spun.
I'm sure they tell outright lies.
Yep.
They tell outright lies. So even though it was a really tough experience to go through, I'm not bitter about it at all. I'm grateful we did
Yeah.
because it really opened our eyes to what's going on around us. And then we started looking at other things and going, well, what else is happening? So
Yeah, who else is manipulating
Yeah.
us? Who else is
Yeah.
lying to us?
Yeah.
Where is the deception elsewhere in the world? And yeah, when you really rip that band-aid off, it's
and once you start seeing, you can't unsee.
yeah.
Were you interested in conspiracies prior to this?
No.
Didn't care?
No, not really. No, probably not. Probably wasn't a thing that
Yeah.
came up on our
No.
radar. No. But then when you start to
Yeah.
you critically examine any narrative, it's very interesting what's really lying behind it and what really the truth is.
Do you think we're all in a cult? I do.
Yeah. So I think to maybe to highlight that point, as you said, like a cultish thing is a level of abuse or manipulation on a spectrum, isn't it?
Yep.
And so yes, society itself fits that definition, doesn't it?
Yep.
Because you're being manipulated and controlled into doing things you may or may not want to do for various reasons, and so yeah, absolutely.
Yep. What do we? How do we get out of the cult? I don't think we can. I think we can make subtle changes in our lives. I think we can start to opt out of stuff, but I don't think you're ever going to be. No, not today. It's too far gone. It's really hard to put that genie back in the bottle now, isn't it?
Well, it's interesting. The Bible actually talks about being in the world but not of the world. So Christians are called to be in the world and not of the world. So understand that you live according to Christ's example and that you live a biblical life. And if that differs from the rules of society, then you're still meant to operate in those rules but not necessarily internalize them or not. So you're participating but you're not part of it, if that makes sense. And I think that's perhaps the strategy. See the deception, understand that everybody else is operating under that deception, and operate in the society without being deceived.
It's like when you have the red pill and then you go back into the Matrix, but you're not of the Matrix.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's a really good way of
Like the
explaining
way Neo, that's, to be honest with you, I know it sounds a bit cringy, but that's sort of how I picture myself in life. I'm in it, I'm doing it, but I'm aware that this is all fake.
You can see the code
Yeah,
behind
absolutely.
what's going on.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
a great analogy. Yep.
Yeah, and you just got to trickle are they projections? Is that what they're called? Oh no, that's Inception I'm thinking of.
Right.
Whatever those, well, they're people, aren't they, in the simulation? Yeah. Man, there's a lot of people that are waking up, though, at the moment. More so than ever.
Yep. And these, yes, definitely. And I think whoever is directing or controlling the environment, the cult, as you put it, think they're getting more desperate and they're pushing things a little bit too far, which is causing people to wake up.
Just like what happened to you
Correct.
with the Fiji
Yep.
trip.
Correct.
And the house,
COVID reeked the Fiji trip.
Yeah, it did, really.
And it was a rush job. It felt like a rush job. Like, let's get all these people bloody 19 doses of this horse shit into them, and let's get them locked in their houses. Let's get them scared. Oh, the neighbours Using the
vacuum.
blower. There you go.
So
Very
March
good.
2020, when it all started, I said, "Oh, this is to stop Donald Trump from being voted in again."
Sure.
Mm.
Yeah. Do you reckon he's going to get in? Tell you
How much
what,
it depends on the cheating.
one of them's going to prison at the end.
Mm.
It's not
That's a
just
fair
a.
call.
It's not just a bloody election. It's an election and an arrest.
Yeah.
Look, to be honest, I don't think it matters. I don't think they want him in prison. They don't care about him being in prison.
Mm.
They
Mind
don't
you,
want him to be
he-
No,
prime
they want to
can't-
stop him.
They
He
need to
can't
stop him.
Run in 2028 though.
No, he'll
He's
be too old. Yeah.
He's too old now.
Oh,
He's on the cusp now. You know what I
Trump-
mean? And he's lost a bit of his spark. Don't you think?
Don't know, I haven't really
No,
been
I
following.
have
I've been
been
watching.
When you pull the plug on the Matrix, you don't read the news, you don't read the
We don't-
paper, you don't watch the news, you don't do any of that anymore. It's my emotional state is much better than
Yeah.
when I'm worrying. People have been saying to me, "Oh, there's protests every day in the city." Oh, I have no idea. People worried about wearing masks. Oh, I don't care. I'll just do whatever I want to
You're
do.
seeing a bit of masks at the moment.
Yeah, there was a lady in the shopping centre queue in front of us today was wearing a mask.
Do you get that down here though?
Yeah.
Do you get it up there?
No.
Not really.
No,
really?
yes. Sometimes I'm walking around the supermarket and I see someone and I think,
Mm.
Not
what are
as
you
much.
doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Mm.
Read the back of the packet. It says it does not work.
They can't read. They're wearing a mask. They're fucking retarded.
I mean, that's all it need. All you need to do is read the back of the package. It states clearly this does not protect you against coronavirus.
Yeah.
Does it actually say that on the back of the
Yes,
N95?
it
it
does.
does.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah. But people hand them out to you, they throw the box away.
Yeah.
So you never get to see the box.
Well, it's the same as the electric car, though.
Oh,
gee.
wow.
It's
Now we're on a
it's,
topic.
It's virtue signaling.
Yeah.
So I
Mum's decided we're not doing cars.
no.
It always turns to cars.
So a friend of mine posted a thing on Facebook yesterday about electric cars, and she said if there's a blizzard, you know, in blizzards and the cars all get
Nope.
get stuck in the snow.
I live in Australia.
Okay.
Sure.
So in America,
Oh, I get you. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and they get stuck in the snow, their batteries will die.
What do you mean?
If they're stuck in snow and they can't, I think the battery lasts for like 3 hours if the car's not moving.
Batteries don't work, so watch a lot of YouTube stuff now, and the people in Alaska have to put their camera batteries in eskies with protection because otherwise the batteries get too cold, the cameras don't work. So I guess electric cars don't work in the snow either.
And
That's
so if you
so interesting.
then you've got no heating. Like in a petrol car, if you're stuck in snow, you can still keep your car on.
Sure.
You can have your heating going.
Yeah, you could run a petrol car for a day
Yeah.
before
So-
it runs out.
So then
2
you-
days.
So you're going to freeze to death
So
in
you've
this
got a
electric
freeway
car.
that's full of people with these electric cars that are not going anywhere, can't be moved, can't be recharged, and then the emergency services need to come and help them.
Do you know what that's called? Natural selection.
Yeah.
What if the no, but then all the emergency services are electric cars because Queensland government wants to buy all these electric cars, and so
Do
then
Queensland have a government?
yeah.
She's still in.
Old
She's
ch-
still
the
in.
old
She's
chook.
still in.
Anyway, and so then the emergency services can't get to them either.
Yep.
That's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. People stuck in freezing snow till it clears. The help can't help them because their car's frozen as well and the batteries are flat.
Yeah.
Who thought up this stupidness?
We got stuck, so Dad helped me pick my Ranger up from Ford Kia in Mornington today, and we got stuck. Kia. We got stuck in Kia waiting for my car to get picked up. We got stuck talking about this Kia electric car, whatever it's called,
It had a number in it.
car EV6.
EV6? Yeah, right.
So it's this. It's a fucking moose, if you ask me. I think it looks. He thought it looked spiffy.
He
was
didn't even
impressive.
believe his own bullshit. Honestly, he came out talking
$100,000?
about
It's
the fact that
100 grand.
0 to 103.5 seconds, that was his whole pitch
He
about
goes,
the car.
"It's a supercar."
Yeah.
That's the first thing he said. And it's a supercar.
It's a supercar.
Hey, darling, look at my new supercar.
Until it explodes.
It looks like a
It's a
shed.
moose.
It's disgusting, honestly.
But then he went on to say, when I asked him what the range was, he said 300 or 400 kilometres. It's okay if you live 20 k's from work so you're just doing 20k trips backwards and forwards, then it's
Yeah.
a good car. But if you live further away from work than that, then this is not the car for you.
Yeah.
So
Catch an Uber.
basically, if you don't live in the inner city, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And he was selling them in Mornington.
And it's $100,000 for a car that you can't drive.
How do you charge this thing? You plug it
Ah.
into the grid every night.
No, we did this.
Oh no, solar panels. Didn't you hear? The Prime Minister sees the future. He said, I see the future, and the future is electric cars being charged by your solar panels overnight. So, you got that right. So I didn't misspeak. You're
No.
going to find this video, aren't you? It's fantastic.
I'm gonna try.
But I'm pretty sure I quoted that verbatim. Solar panels being charged, because I remember thinking, as he said it, I think, you idiot. The sun doesn't come out at night. Solar panels don't work at night. And some bright spark listening to this will say, yeah, but what about batteries? Now I'm going to ask you, how big is our battery? We have a solar system.
We do.
35 kilowatt solar system.
Now,
With a battery.
not to save money, because I don't trust the government to keep the grid
What's the
going.
capacity of our battery?
Oh, it's run out by...
No, how many kilowatts?
I don't know.
That's 14.
Okay.
14 kilowatts.
It's
and when
a big system.
Before you play that, when we asked the salesman today, how many kilowatts does it take to charge this car? What was his answer?
77.
77. So I get home from work, having just
Do you know
made
how
it
much
home.
money that is?
If I can make it home from work, because I live more than 20 k's away, that's 45 k's away. So if I make it home from work at night, I get home and I plug my. Now I have to take your car out because you've plugged yours in, so I have to plug mine in, and then the sun's gone down, so it's not charging. So I'm going to drain my 14 kilowatts off the battery if there's
about 10 minutes.
any of that left, and there's still 60 kilowatts left that I. Where's that coming from?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's coming off the grid.
So
So
realistically,
we're
the only
burning down forests so I can charge my electric
the only
car.
real winner here is Nationwide towing.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this. I don't know if this is the video. I hope it is. Otherwise, it's embarrassing.
Oh, he's embarrassing anyway. Every time he goes overseas, I think, oh no. Don't talk. Just keep your mouth shut.
It could be, but
is that if you that what not if you've got not a, the great benefit here is that if you that what does the future look like? And the future in many ways can be here right now. Be very clear. Is solar panels on the roof charging your vehicle for free overnight. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like.
what it looks like is our Prime
Not
Minister
if you've
doesn't
got
understand
not
that
if
the sun doesn't come out
the
at
great
night.
benefit here.
Australia's
What was
in
the
trouble.
date of that, by the way? He hadn't been Prime Minister for very long.
2nd April 21.
Yeah.
And let's.
He talks like a fucking stroke victim, honestly.
I just hope that.
Solar
Let's
panels
be clear
overnight.
right now. The future of Australia is electric cars being plugged into the roof of the solar and charged overnight.
free.
For free overnight.
For free overnight.
And,
so
and
where's
if
the
it's
60
winter and your
kilowatts coming
car
from?
doesn't, and it doesn't charge up, too bad. Well, you just have to miss work the next day until it's sunny again.
Sorry, boss, can't come in.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
so-
sunny enough.
It was
I
fucking
drained my
cloudy
battery.
yesterday.
What's 14 out of 7?
There was
So
too
it's
many chemtrails in the
20%.
sky yesterday, so I can't charge my car.
Well, 20% of the battery got charged, so I'm only going to make it 20% of the way into work tomorrow. Great. I hope there's a nice cafe there where I can plug in and use the Wi-Fi on their electric system, which is plugged into the grid.
If
And
this
the
guy gets a
cobalt
second go, oh,
The cobalt mining.
don't
That's
even get me
the-
started.
oh.
It's wicked.
Did
The-
you listen to that Joe Rogan episode? Have I
No,
sent it to you?
I've listened
He
to
has
other ones.
I
I've
think
seen-
his name is Hassad Kadar or something like that. I might be saying that wrong. He went to where is it?
Congo.
The Congo.
Yeah, yeah.
And he watched the whole thing and he
The-
did an expose on it, and he was the one who brought it to the attention of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's basically mums with kids on their back
Yeah.
hammering cobalt.
Well, and the kids. The kids working from
well,
young
when
age,
they're
like
old
6,
enough.
7. Yeah,
Yeah.
old enough, 6 or 7. Like,
Yeah.
not old at all.
No, but like little kids
Yeah.
are on mum's back breathing in the
Yeah.
dust.
Yep.
And then to your point, when they're old enough to hold a hammer,
They're working as well.
yeah. Reminds me of how you guys used to make me.
Oh, cue the paintbrush photo.
I can't find it. Not that quick.
Not that quick.
Not that quick. But
Oh,
Insert.
poor deprived, overworked child.
Well, look, I wasn't going to bring it up, but anyway, no.
No, the cobalt mining is horrible.
wicked.
What they do to
Yeah.
children,
And
that's-
their mothers and their fathers.
yeah,
And
horrendous.
the violence and
It's
the
tragic, isn't it?
money.
It's disgusting. And it's also rich Californians can virtue signal to their friends
Yeah.
and buy a Kia and meet halfway
yeah.
So
because they can't get there the whole way.
here's the irony: in Australia, one of the accounting standards that all the stock exchange listed companies, everybody. I said accounting standards, and everybody just went. There's a new standard that requires all ASX listed companies to identify slavery in their supply chain.
Oh,
Yep.
Really?
They have to identify slavery in their supply
well,
chain.
that's interesting.
Isn't it? So, how many of them use battery-operated
Nobody
equipment?
told
I mean,
Apple.
Every executive,
No.
everybody in their company has an iPhone. And
Dude, homeless people. You see homeless people on the side of the thing.
I've been
they
in-
can't, and then they're like, they've got an iPhone, and it's like, that's $2,000.
I've been in the slums of Nairobi, and they don't have running water. They don't have sewage. They don't have insulation. They're lucky to have some electricity, but they all have smartphones,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good because they stay connected, and that's how they transfer money and all that sort of stuff. So, but I'm just saying, everybody has a phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have some cobalt and other rare earth minerals here in Australia, and we're not using children to mine it here. So, to be fair, but I don't know where that's going. I don't think Apple's buying it from us. Could be wrong.
Not if they have to pay full price.
When I say we, not us.
Yeah, we don't have
I
any
mean
cobalt.
Australia generally. The royal we.
The royal way.
Mm.
Man, it's scary though, isn't it?
What's scary is the idiocy that people will listen to crap like that being spouted. The future is charging your car for free off solar panels overnight. I mean, the statement itself does not make any sense. You don't,
Well, solar panels aren't free.
correct? And
Oh no, they cost.
sun doesn't work overnight.
No. Correct.
The only way you can do it overnight is with a battery,
It's
and
full
I've
of
just
holes.
proven that the battery, you'd
Yeah,
need to
and the
have
technology's not there.
6 batteries,
Yeah.
which cost $15,000 each.
Yep.
You'd have to have 6 batteries to charge your car. Now, I remember
And only one car, not both of them.
last year, at one point, we had 8 cars on our property.
Yeah.
If they were all electric cars, how the hell would we charge those 8
Well,
cars?
77 by 8.
Can you imagine my power
Yeah.
bill?
What are 8 8s? 42.
It's a lot. It's a big number. We're all going to...
8 8s to
64.
42. 8 8s to 64. I don't know.
Yep.
I didn't
It's about 600
study
kilowatts.
for my exam.
Oh
That's
dear. All that money's
crazy.
gone down the tubes
That's
with your
crazy.
education.
All right, let's do it. 8 by 77. 616 divided by 14 kilowatts. There's 44 batteries at $15,000 each.
Yeah.
$660,000 worth of batteries
For free.
on a $400,000 house.
Plus, you got to have the car, the
And you gotta-
$99,000
That's-
Kia.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
hope
Also,
it doesn't,
you then have
it
a
doesn't catch fire.
You have a $99,000 Kia.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what used to cost $99,000?
A house.
A
Alpha
house.
Force. Well, yes, Alpha 4C.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the baby Ferrari used to cost $100,000. They don't make it anymore. But you could have one of those or a Kia.
I don't know what's scarier, the stupidity of all of that or the fact that people just swallow it and then regurgitate it as though it's absolute
Truth.
fact.
Well, it's
Yeah.
a cult.
It's a cult. When you're inside it, you can't see
Mm-hmm.
the truth. You can't read a statement like that and actually critically analyze that and realize that that's bullshit.
Do you know how stupid you sound being anti-electric car?
Yeah, I
As
know,
well.
right? People watching this will just go, oh,
Uh-huh.
conspiracy theorists.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the built-in defense mechanism for the cult.
Yeah.
Is you will think that. In fact, if you're thinking stuff like that, that's a sign that you are being manipulated and brainwashed.
Yep.
Because you're starting to justify hearing absolute crap
Mm-hmm.
and justifying it.
You know, it's scary. When people get out of a cult, they often get into another one. And it just
Yes.
takes a different form.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were having this discussion the other day. They'll often leave their cult and then get real deep into wacky,
Yeah.
super
Sometimes
spiro
they go-
shit. And you're like, oh,
Yoga, meditation.
yeah. But like hardcore, like
Yeah.
extra level. Not just like Lindsay getting her yoga mat out and trying to burn off some calories and stretch. Like getting involved with the bloody shaman and like all this sort of shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
That did not happen to us.
Yeah. It there's something built into us, and I think it's the need to be accepted. You know what I mean? Like survival is acceptance. Yeah. If you're out of the group, the group are not going to look after you, and you get sick, you die.
Yeah, right.
Because nobody's going to look after you. So you need to be accepted. It's built into our base code, and I think that's why we gravitate towards cults and we allow ourselves to be manipulated, because we have to survive. We want to be liked. We want to be a part of a group.
I do think you can get to a point, and I'm at that point where I really just don't care what people think of me anymore.
Yeah, you're an outlier though. Yeah, I don't know. I know you pretty well now.
Yeah.
There are not a lot of people that think like you, and that's a good thing. I'm not chicaning you, but there are not a lot of people that think like that.
But I haven't got the energy to care what you think about me anymore, because if you're an idiot, why would I care what you think?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes that can be lonely, but it's better than being stupid.
Loneliness is better than stupidity.
I think it is.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hot out here.
It's quite warm.
It's like a sauna.
Not quite.
It's
But
It's alright. I'm quite pleasant.
it's a spectrum. It's on the spectrum of
Yeah.
sauna,
It's dusty
isn't it?
though.
Yes, I am on the spectrum. It's a bit like Queensland today. It's muggy. Yeah, it's very, very muggy. Do you want to wrap up there?
Yeah.
I reckon that's a nice place
You've run
to
out
wrap
of
up.
questions, have you?
I've got lots of other questions.
But
We could
you're
talk
not
about
thinking-
Africa. We could talk about growing up renovating houses. We could do all this shit, or we could save some for next time.
So something next
Yeah.
I-
What do you think? I'm going to play the bloody outro music, though,
I
like
would
an
like-
adult.
To hear about the third book as well. Tell us about your third book.
Falling Slowly, which was a sequel to my first book, You Don't Bring Me Flowers Anymore. I, as a Christian woman, would read Christian books and think, oh my gosh, this is so boring or so cheesy and corny. And who are these people? They're not real life human beings. And so that's why I wrote my first novel and my second novel, because I wanted to read realistic stories about real women that were like the people that I knew in real life. Instead of, look, there's some great novelists, but I just found Christian novels not so great.
Yep.
So this is the sequel to the first
Yeah.
one, based on
Yeah,
that. Has it
yeah,
got
yeah.
anything to do with the collective?
Nothing at all.
No. Okay.
No, not at all.
That's great.
Yeah.
You going to write any more books?
I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe not.
You're going to write one about your terrific son. It must be quite rewarding seeing just how wonderful I've turned out. Influential, attractive, successful.
If you had been born a girl, your name would have been Bethany.
Yeah.
And I think one of the characters in here is a
Yeah.
Bethany. There
I
may
just-
or may
yeah.
not be a Bethany in one
Yeah.
of these books.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there is Ben. Yeah.
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 Mm.
Cool.
So there you go.
Well,
Awesome.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
This is your first time doing something like this.
Yeah.
You were nervous.
I was.
How nervous were you? Like, are you nervous now?
No.
Nah, it's like,
No.
number one, you're in a shed. Number two, nobody's listening. Like, how long were you nervous for? 5 minutes? 2 minutes?
Oh no, once I sat down I was alright.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Once I start telling the story I can't stop.
You're in. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So it was okay.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. Thank you.